Alrighty, guys. Thank you all for bearing with me. Had to get some technical issues underway, and I had to get some photographs downloaded. This is we looked back. Jason was looking back through our notes, probably what was it, Sunday night, Jason, something like that. And we've literally been trying to do this for a year. I messed up first time. Mr. Joe was ready to go, and something came up, and that completely put a wrench in things. And Mr. Joe ended up moving back home with his family, and his daughter helped out a tremendous amount and helped set us up. And we have finally, after literally a year, gotten Mr. Joe Messer on today. And I'm very excited because we're talking a long time in special forces, but also the military in general. We're going to get to cover a lot of years and a lot of different aspects of recon and SOG and some other things. So I hope you guys have got some questions after you hear about where all and what all Mr. Joe did. I'll kind of give a rundown before I pass it over to him. And this is courtesy of a wonderful book by Jason Hardy. This would be volume 9, featuring Arkansas, RT Arkansas. Joe Messer, codename Bear. He was transferred from RT California. He was strap hanging. We'll get into that. But this was Joe's 5th tour in Vietnam. He had served his first in January of '63 with 1st Special Forces Airborne at A-114, which we're going to hear a very interesting fact about that base and where it was located, assigned to Ha Tan, Republic of Vietnam. 2nd tour, January of '64, 1st Special Forces Airborne, A-324 at Plie Mroung. I can't pronounce that very well. Joe's third tour, Plie Mroung. Thank you, sir. Joe's 3rd tour was in October '64 to April '65 with 1st Special Forces Group again at A-334, assigned to Dak To, before he was transferred to help create Eagle Flight, the predecessor to the Mike Force, which that's going to be a huge point we're going to want to talk and hear about. But right here is the big part where it crosses over big time. His 4th tour was in June of 1966, now with the 5th Special Forces Group Airborne, B-51, assigned to Don Ba 10, Republic of Vietnam, before he transferred over to MAC V-SOG, Forward Operational Base, FOB-2, where he was assigned to Spike Team Wyoming as his first team. But that's just a little background to get you ready. I'm going to let Mr. Joe give a little more of his bio, and we'll just get into the questions and have a good show and go from there. So, Mr. Joe, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Before Special Forces, I pulled 3 years with the 101st over at Fort Campbell. And in those days, if you were coming over to Special Forces, this is before the big influx in, I guess, '63 there, you had to be E5, you had to be on your 2nd enlistment. They weren't taking any newbies at that time. You didn't get into coming in as a private or PFC out of jump school. That didn't work at that time. So everybody that was over there was at least an E5. When they showed up at training group. By the way, training group then consisted of A Company, headquarters in A Company, and we were down at the bottom of Smoke Bomb Hill, as far, well, not quite as far as you could go, because across the parking lot where they were forming up the 5th Special Forces Group at that time, getting filled up. When I left training group, there were 4 companies, A, B, C, and D, and it was filling up. And by then they were starting to take newbies fresh off the street because they were building up. This was the build-up for Vietnam, if you will. Anyways, I was initially assigned out of training group to the 5th because they were right across the street and they needed people.
Yeah.
But somehow or other, that got switched, and I wound up assigned to the 1st, which was Okinawa. The whole group was Okinawa back then, all of us, A, B, and C. Later, they formed a D company. Here's one thing that everybody should know. Back then, Special Forces was not a branch.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your MOS was, that's who you belonged to. The 11s belonged to infantry. 12s belonged to engineer. 05B belonged to Commo. I mean, you belonged to whatever the branch was. And so myself, along with a lot of people later on, got snatched, especially when later on when NOM was winding down. But anyways, that's a different story. But roughly, after coming out of the 101st and going through training group, I went to the 1st in Okinawa. Initially, I was assigned to A Company. And then we went south in January of '63. And when we came back, we were no longer A114, we were A324. So we moved all of our stuff that we had in storage, we just picked it all up and moved down to Machinado to C Company. We were, when I was in A Company, I was living in Bishagawa. I believe it was Bishagawa. The 503rd, this is before they went south, and later became the 173rd. Anyways, the 503rd was the buildings right below us. And some of the people down there that was in the 503rd were people that I'd known back in the 101st. But anyways, we went south, came back from that one. A good one that probably most people don't know about the 114. Our tour was almost over. And May 29th, 1963, we lost our team leader and the junior radio operator. There was 3. Frank Will was the heavy weapons, and those 3 were out on a patrol with our troops, which were halfway trained anyways by then. And the team leader and the junior radio operator got killed, ambush. Anyways, so I took a deuce and a half and went out and picked up the bodies, which was about 10 clicks farther up in country. This took place with Hatan, which is in Hatan District, Quang Nai Province. And you've heard of Quang Nai or Quang Nai, whichever way you want to say it. And that town in that province was part of 2 Corps then. Later it got changed to I Corps. It was the middle valley, Hatan was, set in between Trebon, A Camp to the north, and Geovuk. There was 3 valleys running east-west, and we were doing our best to stop them from using those 3 to come in from. And anyways, you probably heard about Geovuk before. They were pretty hot. far as action down there. I think it stayed that way most of the time that Vietnam went on. So they had, I don't know, what, 10 years of trouble. But anyways, we were the middle one there. And like I said, team leader, James Broach and Neil McIver. And if you remember over in 2 Corps, because remember we were part of 2 Corps back then, with that sign over the top of what would later become the C team, and there's a little monument sitting out in the middle there of the compound, with that big sign over the gate as you come in, read Broach McIver. If anybody worked 2 Corps, you'd know that. Anyways, that's who it was named after, that camp, because we were part of 2 Corps at that time rather than my Corps. Anyways, that was a blow there to lose those 2 right at the end. I think we had about a month left whenever we lost those 2. The XO, a first lieutenant, was a good dude. West Point, knew what he was doing, but was willing to listen. So that made him good right there. But anyways, just a fact. Here he is, a first lieutenant in Special Forces, and of course his dad was a 3-star in the regular Army. Hated Special Forces, like they all did back then. We was them people that wouldn't pay attention and always did things the way we wanted to instead of listening to the people in charge. I guess that's where we got our reputation for being a little different. And like I say, all the old time regular Army, we're talking about people wearing stars and Colonel Eagles. They didn't like us unless we were part of us, because they didn't know what was going on, and they didn't. I'll tell you what it was like. It was like the Rangers in World War II. They were different, and they did things different, and so regular Army didn't like them. But anyways, the next tour was 324, and that was Plie Mroung, just north of Pleiku, there in the Pleiku province. It was about, I guess, maybe 30, 40 clicks northwest of Pleiku. So we could, at that time, there weren't that many North Vietnamese in country, so we could still drive the roads down to Pleiku for supplies and all. It wasn't a bad tour. Camp had been overrun. What was it? About a month and a half, something like that, before we took over. And strange thing, the guy that led the attack on the camp, what was his name? Won't come to me now. Anyways, he got pissed at his father-in-law, who was the commander of the local VC, He's been working DC. And he was married to the daughter of the regimental commander, and we just lost him there some years ago. And anyways, I'm losing you, bud.
You still there?
I guess we're still hooked up. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Plie Mroung. Chewy, yeah. He switched side and come over with us and round up a company commander, the yard company commander of one of the companies. We had 4 companies there. This was we weren't the first ones in. Back over at Hot Time, we went in, built the camp, recruited people, trained people, fed them, clothed them, armed them, trained them, led them. And when we went into Plie Mroung, it had already been open for 2 tours, 2 6-month tours. And that's something else. The 7th and the 5th sent teams in to Nam 6 months at a time, back when the first was doing 6 months. And teams, but the first was sending way more people than neither one of them were. Back when we were over Hot Time, the people in Geoffrey was out of the 7th. Trebong was B company of the first.
Were these guys technically? Could you have called them early snakebite guys coming from Okinawa over to Vietnam?
Well, they didn't call them snakebite back then.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm trying to think what they referred to it as. Snakebite was later.
Yes,
at least they were still used to come for 6 months at a time. As a matter of fact, they sent teams to SOG, 6 months at a time. Those were snakebite out of the first. But back when we were doing it, everybody was 6 months, whether you were from the States or Okinawa. And so it didn't make any difference really which one you were from. They just assigned you an A camp, and that's where you went and spent your time. And some people lost people and some didn't,
How close with you still being?
We lost our share out of the first, that's for sure.
Oh yes, sir. I mean, I've spoken to several SOG men who 1 or 2 were actually snakebite men, and they mentioned and you can read it all in Jason Hardy's book because he breaks it down and shows statistics. The snakebite men and the first not even snakebite put in a lot of work and actually early on helped really build and made sure SOG had good 1-0s running in the field. It's really a testament to the men from first group back then. How close with you being at the Dak To A camp? How far is that to the Dak To that people hear in MACV-SOG interviews and all that? The launch site. How close was it to the MACV-SOG launch site?
Same place.
Oh wow!
Same place. As a matter of fact, the place where I slept at when we were where the team house was.
Mm-hmm.
That later became the place for bright lights to sleep.
Wow. Okay, man. So
Our old team house.
did they intentionally shut it down for y'all to use, or was that just a gradual shutdown of bases that just happened to coincide with it being a SOG launch site?
It was, we shut it down in, I'm going to say, December of 64. Yeah, it would have been December of 64. So we went down there in October. But anyways, that was the next trip. That's the third trip out of the first. I stayed 3.5 years, my first time in Okie. So anyways, we finished that over at Plie Mroung with no casualties outside of maybe somebody getting nobody got, I can't think if anybody got shot. But, you know, a few scrapes and bruises here and there along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back to Okie. Normally we got 6 months back in Okie, but for some reason I was a fill-in on the 334 when we went back. They needed a body, and so I volunteered for that and went on back. That time, and because you get back and if you leave in January, you get back in July. And so I had the August, September, and October, I'm gone again. About 3 months worth in between. No big thing. Went down there to Dak To, another trip to an A camp. Now, this time, I corps instead of 2 corps. But basically, I did 3 6-month tours in 2 corps. Basically same places. The only thing that changed was whatever tribe I was working with. Up Dak To, you had basically Sudan, but down at Plie Mroung, you had Jirai.
Oh, wow.
And then when I got to Eagle Flight, that was basically raw day. Matter of fact, it was all raw day.
All raw day.
Anyways, we went down, and Eagle Flight was just getting started, but at that time it belonged to a team that was on its way back to Okinawa. This is December of 64, somewhere around Christmas time, I guess, close to it. Or maybe it's early January, whichever. Anyways, they were going back to Okie. They were out of B Company, I believe. Anyways, we took over. And the way it worked, excuse me, when we closed Dak To, they was looking for places to put us. And Dak To closed. There were a number of things that were going on. But at that time, back then, Dak To was not they used it, but it was not the primary launch site. Cam Duck was.
Oh, wow. Early.
But that's later. Anyways, Eagle Flight, we took over it Eagle flight consisted of 40 rod A. These are the 40 rod A that revolted. I'm trying to remember the name of the camp. It was down.
Was it like
down in the down where CCC was, or CCS.
Bambi to it.
Bambi to it. You gotta remember now, Bambi to it. You're talking to a guy that's 85 years old. So if I have senior moments, you'll have to excuse me.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyways, we went down. And 6 members of the team took over Eagle flight. Like I said, they were just getting organized. Hadn't really done anything. But they six took it over, and then the other 6 went name of the camp, but it was the one that was on top of the mountain that was fogged in about half the time, and it was on the east side of Pontoon, right in the very top of those ridges, those mountains up there, before it dropped off going back into Quang Ngai over there. Because Quang Ngai was on a line just about with Pontoon, maybe a little north of it, but due east. Anyways, and we got Eagle flight. Now the interesting thing about these people, they had revolted, killed all the LLDV, the Look Long Dog Vet. They killed all of them in camp and threw them down the shithole.
Oof.
Yeah. That's a hell of a grave. These were good people, but they'd had enough of them, because these were the ones that really, like, you had to pay them to be there, because a private in our Army made about as much as a captain.
Wow.
That's something that I thought was interesting.
Oh yeah, making big bucks.
Spent about 5 years in Vietnam. They was never in what you would call a flag, a unit that was considered, flag waving. It was always in Eagle flight. We did a couple of different things. Sometimes we'd go in force. Like I remember back in 65, we went over to the coast to act as a blocking force for what was then B-52 Delta. Bringing in weapons by boat, and they caught them anyways. And we were the blocking force, so they couldn't get away. And had me out on a sandbar out there. Me and what was this? A couple of them, came our way because they'd done split them up and they were just trying to get away. And a couple of them came our way and we dropped them. Because the best part about that was all the loot that they got when they got on that boat and took it, and they had Mauser rifles.
Oh,
German
wow.
rifles, still cost money. And they gave us a case of them. They gave us a case of them, and we took it on back.
I mean, the case of German Mausers, that's before they were getting them, the SKSs. And
yeah. Anyways, well, these were nice ones. Nice ones. I mean, never, in Costling, they hadn't been used so much that they were getting, rickety. After you clean them so many times and it's fairly loose, these were still pretty tight.
Wow.
But anyways, I ended up trading my Mauser for some summer flight jacket.
We had audio issues. What?
With the there, Camp Holloway. What had happened while we were down in Bambituit there, working that area down there, Camp Holloway had gotten mortared. They didn't try to break into camp. They just sat out there and mortared because, with all those helicopters sitting around, mortar doing a hell of a job on it. And along with everything else going on, we were doing camp security. That's another interesting one. There was a C-130 set down and just rattled that PSP. Every piece of it landed because it was loaded. And Houston Prophecy managed to get it stopped before he went off the end of the PSP, and because it really wasn't made for 130s. 123s, okay, but it wasn't. He had to really sit down on the brakes and reverse them props to get it to stop. And he turned around. Inside, sitting inside, was a armored personnel carrier. I believe they were, what were they? 113s? I think the designation was 113. Anyways, well, I had never driven 113, but back early, I was 101st. And anyways, at that time they were M59s. And I figured there wasn't that much difference in it, which there wasn't. So I said, yeah, well, let me see. So I climbed in it, brought it out of the 130. And they said, it's yours. So all of a sudden, we've got the only armored cavalry outfit in Special Forces. I don't know where it's at now, but anyways, there's a picture of me sitting on the front of that 113.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
We would use it to take people out. We built bunkers way out and away from the camp. And we used that 113 to haul people out to them and drop them off whenever shift changes and all. And we had people out there, not continuously, but go out, stay 2 or 3 days, and then we'd switch them out for somebody else. But anyways, they were to where they couldn't get in close enough to use mortars unless they were using something the size of 4 deuces. As far as I know, at that time, they didn't have anything close to a 4 deuce. The biggest thing they had then was an 82, which is nothing more than a 81 with which was smart. They didn't plan this, but this is the way that was made to where they could use our ammunition, but we couldn't use theirs. Like a 50 cal, a 12-7 is a 51 cal, 51 caliber. So you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just enough to where they could use our ammunition, but we couldn't use theirs. But anyways, back to that. They didn't have anything like a 4 deuce at that time. And this was in country, so they didn't have all the rockets and shit that they had later on. But anyways, so that along with using the entire outfit, they'd come get us, talking the Americans primarily, to like I went on, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 pilot rescue things. Like I remember one in particular, it was up pontoon up there. There was an RB-57 that went down. If you have any idea or know anything about Air Force aircraft, an RB would be a reconnaissance bomber. Okay.
Oh.
Primarily, and it got hit, and he was trying to limp back into Pleiku, I guess. He was actually out of, I think, the Benoit or somewhere. He was trying to limp into Pleiku, the air base over there, not Holloway. And anyways, crashed. And he'd managed to get out there and look for him. I was the one that got out of the aircraft and went over to where the crash was, and it was still popping off 20 millimeter rounds over there, so I didn't get too close. But at that time, we didn't know that he'd ejected. The only problem was he waited too damn long, and his chute never fully deployed before he hit the ground. But anyways, and I didn't find him. Later on, they sent, I think, a Jolly Green over there, and it stayed in the air for much longer than we could of the Huey. 4 miles north of where we'd been looking, because I'd been looking around where the airplane hit the ground. And like I said, it was still cooking off rounds over there, which means I couldn't get too close. But that's where I screwed up my back too. So he couldn't land. And so I went ahead and unasked that Huey at about 20 feet off the ground. And then what he did, he put his skids against the ground, and they threw a rope down and pulled me up.
Oh.
But anyways, stuff like that. We did, I don't know how many of those. That looking to find people alive. Mainly the little ARK-10 stuff got us in. ARK-10, that's that little radio that all of the people carried in their pocket, in their pants pocket, in their outside pocket.
Mm-hmm.
In over in Fog, when we got there, heard it. I don't know. I called it an ARK-10, and you probably get 3 or 4 different names for it. But it's that little survival radio where you could talk. You could talk directly to the 130 that flies around. But they won't come to me. But you'll know it anyways. It's the Air Force 130 that flies all over Laos, Cambodia, South Vietnam. It's in charge of, belongs to the 7th Air Force, and it's in charge of all anything in the air.
The Hillsborough and Moonbeam.
Anywhere. Pardon?
Hillsborough and Moonbeam.
What do you say?
Hillsborough and Moonbeam, the aircraft command.
Yeah, that's it. Hillsborough. It was Hillsborough in
the daytime and Moonbeam at night. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's it. You could talk directly to them if you were split off from the team or whatever happened, or if you were the only one left, or if you need to get the hell out. But it was interesting. And we finished that tour up in because we'd come in October of '64. Well, then we left in back and thought I was going to get one more trip, and instead they ran me off the island. Said, "You've been here long enough. Go on." So they sent me back to. Now this is a good one, because Small Paul Caraway hated Special Forces. He was the 3-star that was in charge of Okinawa. Consequently, I only know of 2 people that got a promotion while they were on Okinawa in Special Forces. But now I'm talking Charlie Company here mainly, at least in Charlie Company. Name won't come to me, but it will eventually. E5 with me. He was a medic. He made E6. And Ike Camacho made E7. And that's the only 2 that I know of that got promoted in the 3.5 years I was there. I went there in E5 and left in E5. 3.5 years. Now back in Bragg, we had shake and bake. What I called them, shake and bake, anyways. NCOs that they were E6s that had less time in the Army than I had in grade. Anyways, so at the end of after what should have been a 30-day leave, but it actually ended up being about 45. I had a little trouble getting over to Bragg. But anyways, and nobody in those days, nobody worried about stuff like that. I reported into Echo Company of the 7th. And practically the whole company was in the half island. Dominican Republic. Okay, it came to me finally. Haiti's half of it, and Dominican Republic's the other half. Hispaniola, I guess it is. Anyways, in fact, the whole company was down there, and trying to think of Sergeant Major's name. Company Sergeant Major. Oh, you're still walking around in E5? Yeah, they ain't got around to give me nothing. So he said, we'll fix that. 2 weeks later, I'm in E6.
Whoa, wow.
But anyway, I guess you could just reach and pull them out of the air back there at Bragg. I don't know. Like I said, there was a hell of a lot of E6s walking around back there that had less time in the Army than I had in grade. But they cured that right quick. Anyways, I was back there for about 6 months. There, you got post detail whether you were a Special Forces company or whether you were a 82nd Battalion, and you had to field it. I have pulled guard duty on the commissary over there, walking around with an empty M1. Anyways, there you had 5, 6s, and 7 walking guard, and an E8 as sergeant of the guard. Now tell me that ain't, what kind of shit is that? Because the 82nd would send a buck sergeant and 8 privates or PFCs out there to do long before Special Forces ever became a branch. Once they got to be a branch, it was an entirely different story. But in those days, like I said, you belonged to whatever that MOS was. But anyways, so I messed around back there for about 6 months, and enough of this shit. Went back to Nam, and this would have been middle of '66.
Did you get in contact with Miss Alexander to get to Vietnam this time?
Me down to Nong Batin. Well, that's I had been to I'd been up to that advanced engineer course up there at Belvoir.
Mm-hmm.
I went up to that, and while I was up there, I went over and saw her.
Okay.
And anyways, and so while I was up there, she said, "You go on back to." Oh, there's a picture of her and
Billy Wall.
Billy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure enough. Anyways, you go over and see her, and went back to Bragg, and I guess my order showed up about 2 weeks after I got back to Bragg. She timed it right to where I just reported back in, signed in, picked up my orders, and left. But anyways, so they sent me down to Dong Batin, the 5th did, when I got back, because they were in charge then. This was the middle of '66. They'd gotten all settled in and everything squared away the way they wanted it. And went through the training. But going back in the country was interesting. I went back in with a plane load of newbies and showed up at Benoit and down in Saigon on there. And So, was the first thing me and can't remember his name now right offhand, but anyway, somebody else had been there a few times before. And the first thing we did is rather than reporting into that REPL depot over there, replacement depot, I guess, for people that don't understand what REPL depot is, but replacement depot. And instead of reporting in there, we went downtown, got drunk. And
you and Danny Taylor.
Okay, yeah, it could have been Danny. That's true. That's true. Danny and I lived together back at Bragg during that 6 months that we were both back there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we went downtown and got drunk. And then the next day, rather than going back to where they wanted us to go, we went over to the B team there in Saigon. I can't remember what the designation was now. Anyways, went over to the B team there and said, need a ride in the train. And because I'm sure if we went over to that replacement depot, we'd have wound up being platoon sergeants or squad leaders or something out in one of those outfits in the field out there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, we caught a ride over to the train, and who was, I think, Dunaway was the sergeant major then, I believe. Pretty sure Dunaway. Anyways, which is another story. He ended up being the first sergeant major of the Army. But he was a powerful politician, I'll tell you that. But anyways, they sent me down there to Donga 10, and Danny hooked up with somebody and ended up going up to CCN.
Oh.
Except back then it wasn't CCN, it was FOB1. No, FOB1, Fubai. And later on, I guess it was about September, a couple months later, whatever, I ran into Danny back there in the train again. He'd been up there and he run a few missions and was back down where he was on one, I think 5-day stand down or whatever. He had been drunk down in Saigon and was on his way back. And I ran into him and he couldn't tell me a whole lot, but at the same time he said, good outfit, Joe, good outfit. Get hooked up. So I did. Went over and saw him. Must have been Danny get killed.
November of 66.
Danny got killed November of 66.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Him and two
Willie
of
Williams.
the American black guy.
Yes, sir. Sweet Willie Williams.
Yeah, Sweet Willie. There you go, Sweet Willie. Yeah. Willie had a saying when we was back on Okinawa in the C company there. He says, when I get weak in the hips, I get strong in the lips. That was Willie's favorite saying. But anyway, Willie was a good guy. I mean, he was upright. He was. I'd go with him anywhere. But anyways, Danny and Willie got killed. I think it was November. Could have been October. I'm not sure which. Anyways, up at Fubai there, and I didn't hear about Danny getting killed and until I guess I was already up at Contum by then. Anyways, I went down, spent about 6 months down there at Donga 10, training troops that would come down from the various aid camps. And who was it? Ben Snowden.
Yes.
Ben Snowden was down. Ben would teach him basic infantry tactics, if you will. You know, what to do in case of an ambush, and, you know, where to set your people up and then back your way out and all this kind of stuff. And I taught demolitions. I mean, basic stuff like, you know, dig a hole and plant a mine, you know, all this kind of stuff. Basic, you know, cut you a piece of fuse, measure it by using your crimpers, how long it takes to burn crimper length off of that roll. Make sure it's the same roll, because you're going to get different times. But anyways, basic stuff, how to stick it in the cap, or, you know, crimp the cap, stick it in the, stick a C4, whatever, and dynamite, whatever you're using, whatever you got available. How to use that kind of stuff, how to set a tripwire, just basic stuff, you know, that you don't need any book learning to know this stuff. You can just do it by. Anyways, taught that until after I talked to Danny, went up and talked to the liaison for SOG up in the train there. And he said, we're going to get a bunch of people together and send them up to Cam Duck first of the year. And this was, I don't know, maybe November or somewhere along there. And I said, okay. I said, put me on the list. And which he did. And went back down to Longa 10. And in about, I don't know, whatever it was, a month or less, why they cut a set of orders for me, I guess, which I never saw. And we went up to Cam Duck. There's about 20 of us, I guess. And there was a couple of people just dropped out right then, I guess. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And the rest of us went up there and messed around, went out in the woods for a week and all that kind of stuff. And then half of us went over to Fubai and half of us went down to Pontoon. Anyways, and I can't remember who went where, but anyways, ended up going down there. I got down there and they assigned me to Wyoming. They put me in initially as the 1-1. No, that's the 1-2, I guess. I think I made one trip as a 1-2, and then I was 1-1. Anyways, first trip out, we got ambushed and had a couple yards get hurt, and no Americans. Tom Corbett was the 1-1. No, he was the 1-2. I can't remember who the 1-1 was, because he didn't stay. I think he only ran that one mission, and he was gone. I don't know where it went. It decided it wasn't for him or whatever. Anyways, and then came back, and I don't think I ever ran one as a 1-1. Might have. Anyways, Tom took on the job of building. What was he building? Something. Maybe he was building a new club.
Yes, sir. Building the new club.
Yeah, because the old club was a little room I don't know, maybe 12 by 12, something like that, in a white stucco building that had originally been a barracks, or not a barracks, like I guess where the company commander had slept or something. Anyway, but biggest room in the building was the club then, and Crash Whalen was the sergeant major's place then. Crash had ran some missions out of
FOB1
back
with
earlier.
ST Montana back in the day.
Yeah. Anyways, he was a sergeant major over there too then, in the early days. And anyways, all of a sudden I'm 1-0 on the Wyoming after about, I don't know, no more than three times out, something like that. So it was, like I said, I don't know where 1-1 went, and the Tom took on building that club, and that left me on the team, so I'm the 1-0. Anyways, but I mean, they gave it to me, but the people that was there knew that, hell, I already had more than 2 years in country. So, it's not like I just came from Bragg and hadn't done shit. But anyways, they gave me, and I can never remember, we called him Guy. And I'll find his name in my little list here of people that I worked with at various times.
Was it Guy Albergo or?
Yeah, that's him. I got written right here somewhere.
I did have it as well. I've got a photo of y'all actually.
Gaetano, Guy. Yeah, Alberto. Gaetano, Alberto. I guess that's Italian, I guess. Anyway, we just called him Guy. That was the easiest thing to say. And anyways, he was my 1-1. We ran together, I don't know, probably, hell, I don't know how many times, but anyways, we ran from, would have been late March, early April, somewhere in there. Yeah, that's me and Guy out sitting on I called it heavy drop because that was the call sign, but that's Leghorn. We're sitting on Leghorn in the days. That's in the days when Leghorn wasn't nothing but some sandbags. And you had to bring your own poncho to put up for rain or whatever, And all we did was fill more sandbags and put more rocks around. Never did build a permanent. I don't know when they built a permanent shelter out there. So somebody took them and cut some logs and put a regular roof on and everything. But all we had then was sit in the middle, and then we built the sandbags and the rocks along the outside edges, and then we had down over the hill. On one side was nothing but a 1,000-foot drop off. We didn't have to worry about it. And then on the other side, we had yards, 2 in a hole down there, farther down the hill from where the top was there. We never had any real problems. I was out there twice, and we never had any real problems. Yeah, I don't think we even knew we was up there until later. I think later on I heard people talk about them getting ordered and all kinds of shit. But
Oh,
during
yeah.
the time that I was out there, it was just plain, you just listen to the radio and relay messages and that kind of stuff. And you get messages from the teams that were on the ground out there after Cubby left after dark. If they had something that popped up or something they found after dark, well, then they'd tell us and we'd relay it back to Pontoon. And then they'd make a decision on what to do about them back there. And you sat out there for 10 days, 2 weeks, and they would come out and relieve you. And at that time, we'd take a team out. I think at that time, every team pulled their time out there. Later on, they probably had enough teams where they didn't have to do it continuously like that. But then, you didn't have enough people where you couldn't leave a team out there for any length of time because they'd come up to where they wanted to put you on the ground. So, anyways, it was a rotating thing. I mean, everybody, I think most of the time, or at least once out there, I think Squirrel relieved me with Kentucky. That's another one. Squirrel had Kentucky, and I had Wyoming. And I tried every way in the world to get him to switch with me because I wanted Kentucky, because I'm originally from Kentucky. And he wouldn't do it. No big thing. So I ran with Kentucky. I ran as the 1-0 until I guess it was March of '68. So I ran about a year's worth there as the 1-0, give or take a month or so.
Is this when you took the major out, Bulldog Smith?
Oh, this came later. This was early '68.
Oh, I'm jumping
Early
way ahead.
'68. Yeah. Anyways, but it was just. I went into Hotel 9 a couple of times. Got shot out. Went into Juliet 9 once. Got shot out. Hell, I can't think of. The only time I can think of that I went in and didn't make contact because they were getting pretty crowded out there then. I went in. Can't remember what the number was now, but anyways, went in. Matter of fact, I had Bob Howard's trap hanging on that run, and we went in and we were dropped us off on the edge of a river, and we anywhere you couldn't. That river was running fast. There'd been a rain or something. It might have been right at the end of monsoon. I can't remember. Anyways, no, it couldn't have been the beginning of monsoon. Anyways, this was, I'm going to say early summer, probably, maybe June or something like that. Like I said, we went in and it was all triple canopy everywhere you looked. Well, I wasn't real happy about making contact in that triple canopy. So we heard some people up the hill. And of course, Bob wanted to immediately go wipe them out. Bob was not a recon man, I'm going to tell you. He was an action person. But I mean, he was not made for recon, because recon, you're supposed to go look. And then without them knowing you're there, come back and report what you found. Well, that wasn't Bob's way of doing things, I'm telling you. Yeah, that's, oh hell, there's Larry White standing right beside me there, right behind me there. And that's Charlie Smith. Charlie was Omega. I can't remember the lieutenant's name right behind. I'm sure I got it written down somewhere though.
It's a good group of recon men right there.
There's Bob over on the end. But I mean, don't get me wrong. He wasn't afraid of a damn thing, nothing.
No, not at all.
I mean, he'd get you into shit that you didn't want to be. But anyways, that was his first trip out. He strapped in with Wyoming there.
Wow.
On his very first trip across the line. I mean, now don't get me wrong. He'd already been through some pretty good shit over in 101st.
Oh, yeah.
But he pulled, Christ, I don't know. I think he pulled either a complete tour or almost a complete tour in the 101st before he ever came over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like I said, I didn't want to go searching too hard for trouble in triple canopy. So I just, for one thing, it rained practically the entire time we were there. We was out for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, I guess. Anyways, but the only thing we found was trail. Found some good, well-used trail. And places where they had, I don't know, I guess where they'd ambushed the French or something or other. So they was dug foxholes, if you want to call them that, except they're mostly about half covered. So I don't know. I would assume that sounds to me like they were, in disguise, if you will, waiting for somebody back in the day there. Must have been the French because I don't think we'd had any troops in there before. Anyways, looked around there, found a few trails and all that good stuff. No sign of them except for those voices that people laughing and talking and all that. And which, I would have went up the hill and seen who it was and all that, except for that damn triple canopy. And if you get caught in triple canopy, the only thing you can do is run. But anyways, that amounted to next to nothing. We went on back. That was sometime in the middle of my very first trip as the 10. We were going out to plant some mines in the road. Somebody had found a nice road down through there. Well, they sent me in Wyoming out to plant mines. Well, I got a hold of some M19. I think it's M19. It's a
M19.
It's a tank. Yeah. Anyways, it's I don't know what, a foot square, roughly, or a little bigger. And anyways, it's a plastic coat and all that and everything, and you arm it by taking this. What do you want to call it? Like a horseshoe? Taking a horseshoe out and turning it, and it's ready to go. Anyway, so without taking anything out, took the team out. We dug a few holes, and I checked the size of it and depth and all this and everything. And got everybody on the same sheet of music because we were going to land a chopper and go down the road, and about from the time before we put the first one in down to, maybe, I don't know, 50 yards or something. In that amount of time, we're going to put them 4 mines down through there in the road. And this is not earth shaking or anything. All it does is it's really psychological. Because when you blow up a truck, that next driver says, God damn, I hate to be going down through there, and it'll hold them up. And that people think about it, I mean, if you know you're going to hit a mine if you drive down through there, or there's a good chance, you don't want to be the driver. Anyway, so it's more psychological than it is really stopping anything. We had a lot of little tricks like that. But anyways, he went out. We're going in to plant our mines, and I'm not sitting in the door, but I'm sitting up on the seat right next to where, as soon as the wheels hit the ground, I can stand up and get on the ground and get on out. That's another thing. I don't know if everybody did it or not, but they were supposed to. First man on the ground is the 1-0. Last man on the chopper is 1-0. I mean, that's just standard, or it was in those days anyway. I think it always was. But anyways, just as we're going in on the final, getting ready, hell, we were, I don't know, 60 feet off the ground or less. And all of a sudden, the goddamn floor just starts coming apart. And there's somebody down there with an AK right below us, just opened up, automatic. Anyways, I got a burn. I guess you'd call it a burn. Anyway, took a little bit of hide with it on the left leg, right above the knee. And so this was King Bee we were riding. In those days, back in the early 67, all of 66 and early 67, it was all Vietnamese King Bees. We hadn't started using the Hueys yet out of 52nd. And Omega hadn't moved. Well, Omega hadn't even come up yet from the train. But anyways, because Omega came up about the middle of the summer, somewhere along there. Anyways, Omega came up to FOB2 there. And meanwhile, with this, back to this initial one. Anyway, interesting story there. Back in 64, I guess, over at Plie Mroung, we were going out on a night ambush at just before dark, or just at dark. And instead of us going out to ambush them, they ambushed us. Well, as we're going across the rice paddy, of course, we're walking on the dike. We're not down the damn paddy. But anyways, we're in the paddy shortly because the guy opened up with the automatic weapon. Anyways, in the yard, that was, I don't know, 1 or 2 people ahead of me, took 2 rounds in his stomach. Damn near cut him in 2. Anyways, we're down in the paddy. Got him on the edge of the paddy, and across from where they're firing from, and we're trying to get a bandage on him and everything, and get him squared away. Of course, there's blood everywhere. Well, unbeknownst to us, while we're doing what we can for his gut, of course, some of it's bled out on that femoral and the leg down there. Well, there's blood everywhere, you can't tell. And I didn't know it at the time, and it, anyways, taking care of the gut, but that wasn't his problem. Like I said, he was pumping it out, that femoral down there. And so he punched his, he went dry while we're fucking with his stomach. And so, of course, he died, right there. And so there I am, 3 years later, I'm on this 34 going in, and I take a round through that leg. You've never seen somebody tear a goddamn pair of fatigues off so quick in your life. I'm looking at that leg down there to make damn sure that it ain't deep enough to get that femoral. But yeah, I ripped that pair of pants off in no time flat. Because I don't know, after that, the first thing that I look for is not necessarily femoral, but if there's somebody hit, we'll look to see where he's pumping at the most. Don't worry about the oozing. Look for the one that's pumping.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I tore that pair of fatigues off, and then we went on back to Pontoon, and I went over and got a Band-Aid off of the medics. I mean, actually, I looked at it and washed it and all that shit and everything. But basically, I wound up with a Band-Aid, but really, because it was more of a burn than it was anything else. It just barely took a little bit of skin off of it, But anyways, they went ahead and put a Band-Aid on, and that was, I think, it was early in the week, Monday or Tuesday. Not that same day, but the next day I went right back to do the same thing in basically the same area. And the second time there wasn't nobody there with an AK, so we went ahead and landed and put our mines in. So that was one time that I was on the ground twice in the same week. But anyways, we went ahead and done the job, and then I guess maybe it was a couple days later, one of the cubbies came in and said, "You got him?" He said, "That's where you put them mines?" He said there was a truck that was over the edge down into the gully on the other side. And so we slowed them down and definitely made them think. And that was the whole idea, was to scare the drivers,
Wow.
But anyways, that was my mine planting deal. I didn't go through any more mines. And back in those days, we were really interested in what was going on in various places. Well, I remember one trip into Hotel 9. We went in to plant a tape recorder, recorder where when they talk back and forth, and you take and put a pin through either one of the wires.
Wiretap.
You got two wires on a wiretap, and so you go ahead and put your pins through the cords there, and then whenever somebody talks, it kicks on and records. And then when it's dead, well, it goes back and sleeps, until somebody else comes on the line. And what we were looking for was trying to find out the line that went from the division headquarters out to all the battalions. Anyways, and I don't know whether that was the right one or not, but I had set it up and thought I was away clean, but I had to look because right above that line there was a trail, and that son of a bitch was about 6 foot wide, and there wasn't a blade of grass on it nowhere. So it was well used. And so I'm up there with a camera taking pictures, and I'm facing what I would call down trail, snapping a picture, and all of a sudden I hear right behind me about 4 rounds, and I don't know where it's coming at me or going out. And the yard that I had up there with me, guarding me while I'm doing all hooking up and all this and everything. There was a guy came down the trail, and apparently he was walking with his AK over his shoulder, and he's holding onto the barrel, you know. Because hell, this is tame territory there as far as he's concerned. Well, he walked around. He was about, I don't know, he'd come around the curve there, and I guess he must have been maybe 30 feet from us. And he saw me with that damn camera out there snapping, because I'm looking in the opposite direction at that time. And the guy that was with me dropped it. I put about 3 or 4 rounds in it. Anyways, and I turned just in time to see him trying to take his gun down. And at the same time, he'd been walking somewhere or other for a while, because I'm not talking about the blood spurting now. I'm talking about the rounds going in me. When the rounds went in him, there was dust flying. So he'd been somewhere riding on a truck or something. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so apparently he was a newbie on the trail. He must have been, I don't know. I don't know whether he was the point man or what the hell was going on, because all of a sudden there was all kinds of yelling and shit going on. We picked up our shit, went down off the side of this place, and grabbed the rest of the team down there and took off running. Because they're all over us in no time at all. And we're running for our life. And we went down off the hill, and we're in the valley down there. And we try to go up on the right side and get shot at, because that's right there. We try to go up on the left and we get shot at. The only place we can do is stay in the valley. So we kept running down through there. Meanwhile, I called some TAC Air. Cubby's up there then, and he's directing. And they dropped some shit between us and them, or on them, whichever. We got a little farther down through there, and they finally, a Huey, I think it was a Huey, come and picked us up. And we got out of there. Got away clean, didn't get nobody hit or anything.
Wow.
I guess what amounted to was they thought they were in good shape, and anyways, we got out of there with nothing on that. The bad part was going back to get the damn recorder, because then you know you're in the middle of shit.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's...
if they ain't found it and you manage to get back and get it, you know, you don't get to listen to it. You just turn it in, and then it goes from there to Da Nang, and from Da Nang to Saigon. And everybody listens in on all this shit to try to determine who it is. You know, now whether or not it was actually a trunk line from division to battalion, I don't know, because nobody told me about it. You know, I wasn't high enough on the gravy train to be, you know, to know all this shit.
Were you
do your thing?
Was this around the time that I don't know if it was a King Bee or if it was an American, but was this around the time to where you were on the ground alone for a period of time during the Operation Extraction?
No, that was another trip. We'd been running. We'd run into the ridge that runs north of Leghorn.
Mm-hmm.
Runs all the way, I think, to North Vietnam, really. Anyways, it's the main ridge line that's running north-south over there. And it runs hell out behind Ashdown and all the way up through there. Anyways, that time, that was a King Bee. You had a King Bee and you had a Chase behind it. And we've been running down this ridge line, and we managed to keep a little distance between us and them with a little help from Covey. And anyways, coming down through there, and hit a little clearing there, and so the King Bee come around to pick us up. Well, we were high enough up. I don't know what the elevation was, but we was up fairly high. And we got everybody on the chopper, and I'm getting ready to get on, and the crew chief says, you know, pilot had told him we can't take any more weight. That's all there was to it. So, you know, in order for him to get up, and even then when he went off, we went down over the side and then managed to get it going, you know. And so I'm standing there, dumbfounded, on the ground by myself. And hell, I'm on one side of this clear and Charlie's on the other. So I didn't shoot at him. I just tried to make myself as small as possible. You know how that goes. Anyways, all of a sudden, the chase ship comes around. He's coming in to pick me up. Well, on that chase ship was Squirrel, the Snake, the medic. Can't remember who the medic was now. Anyways, whoever rode chase all the time, and of course the Vietnamese crew. Well, Squirrel and Snake had taken that side window out on the other side, because, you know, the 34's only got the door there, and you've got glass on the other side. Well, plexiglass, but anyways, windows. And they'd taken the window out on the other side, and then taken the 60 and slung it over there. So that was a surprise. So when that chase ship came around, and Charlie's shooting at it, but he definitely didn't expect any return fire, because normally that side's sealed, you know, because the crew chief / door gunner is sitting facing on the other side. It'd be actually, if you're looking from the tail to the nose, then it would be on the right-hand side. But anyways, they had taken a window out on the left-hand side and had that 60 over there with a nice long belt on it. And there, as it comes in, they're shooting like hell at Charlie over there on the other side, which surprised him, I'm sure, because normally you don't get any fire from that side. Well, they came by and they didn't even really stop. But as soon as they came, I saw them coming into the clearing there. I took off running. And sure enough, I got over there, and they haven't actually sat down. They're still rolling. And I got over there to the door, and Squirrel's back there shooting at 60. And the medic, whoever the chase medic was that day,
Roy Pace, I think.
Snake reached down and grabbed me by my harness and pulled me up into the chopper. They pulled me in the chopper, and I'm sort of laying face down, getting drug into the damn thing, which is fine with me. I'm in it. Anyways, that was my on the ground by myself.
Was that Mr. Roy Pace?
If they don't come back around, if they don't come back around quick enough, there's about 500 foot or better over the side there with trees growing, you know, pretty thick. So I figured if worse come to worst, I could go out over that side there and just let those trees catch me as I went down and hope I didn't break nothing until I hit the bottom. Because they damn sure wasn't going to capture me, I'll tell you that.
No.
Any bad story.
Yeah, that hell no. Was it Mr. Roy Pace on the bird laughing?
Roy Pace, who was a master sergeant that worked with Bulldog
Okay, that's
Smith, the
yes,
major.
sir. Yes, sir. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
those two worked together. Well, now
Jeez.
when later on, I think it was after it was later. It was over in '68 that we went out, and Kentucky and uh, Wyoming. We both went heavy. I had 12 people, and Kentucky had 12 people, and we went out with Roy and Bulldog. And of course, Bulldog, being a field grade officer, had no damn business on the ground whatsoever. But he went anyways. And what we were looking for was trying to find a village out there that was friendly rather than hostile. And if we could find a village out there that was friendly, we would be able to set up a place out there where if a team was running, and they'd have a safe place to go into. No, we were going to build a little, I don't know, like a camp out there, with friendlies in the village. Well, there wasn't any friendlies out there, unfortunately. Right in the middle of that out there, we've been out there for, I don't know, a week, more than a week. And they got the word, I guess, that Saigon got the word that there was a major field grade officer on the ground, which was a no-no. Captain, okay, but major, no. And so they radioed out there and told him to get his ass back in camp immediately. And so that ended our search for friendlies. But anyway, before they got back in camp, I had a 30-day leave coming up. This is my second. Yeah, this is my second 30 days since I've been in country. Since I've been in country then, hell, I don't know. I guess. Well, this was my second extension from SOG there. Anyways, I had that 30-day coming up. Plus, I'm a civilian out there in the damn woods. Not really, because what they did is they would just extend you, extend your enlistment. But I was past my DROS date as far as. So I like to think of myself as being a civilian out there. Because, I hadn't re-enlisted. So I must be a civilian. Anyways, before that was over with, they sent a 34 around, and there wasn't no place to land. So he dropped that horseshoe collar over, and I got myself into it, and they winched me up into the door there of that 34 and took me on back to Pontoon. So I wasn't there when the team got back, or the teams got back, and so I didn't get to hear about Bulldog getting his ass chewed. Anyways, one other time early on, must have been, I don't know, maybe May, somewhere in there. Anyways, they sent Wyoming and Kentucky up to Fubai. We went to Fubai, and they gave us a couple targets, and we went over to Quezon. This would have been early 67. I don't know, maybe May, somewhere like that. Went over to Quezon and launched out of there, not together. We had separate targets. Anyways, we launched out of there and made a run for them. Same shit there as anywhere else. Sooner or later, if you're out there long enough, you're going to run into them. And then, of course, you run for your life. But anyways, I can't remember the target, designation, whatever it was. A something or B something, I don't know. Anyways, it was farther up north there. And one of them wasn't too far out. And I could have swore we was in North Vietnam, but I couldn't say for sure. Because all I had was that 6x6 clip map in my pocket. And but anyways, ran the target there, came back, rested up a little bit, ran another one, and then went back to Pontoon, both of us. And we went on back and took up the show down there in Pontoon. I was trying to remember different stuff. That one over in Hotel 9 there when we were doing that listening device. And then another time at Hotel 9, went and you're always going to run into them at Hotel 9. They were goddamn thick like fleas. So anywhere you went in Hotel 9, Juliet 9, what that is, that's straight out from Ben Hat and maybe just a little bit south. And you're right there at the border, which is one of the main north-south places through there. And they're funneling troops through there, God only knows, battalions at a time. Send them, farther down, like down to 3 Corps or wherever. That's fine with me. Send them on down and let Omega or CCS, what do you want to call it, fuck with them down there.
Yeah, I don't make that dangerous.
But anyways, so anywhere you went down there in the nines was bad news.
Oh, yeah. Hotel 9, Juliet 9, Oscar 8 and 9, all of them. Bad news bears. Bad news.
Bad news.
Did you end up?
One of my,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
They sent us. Now, of course, you launched out of Dak To, you launched out of Dak Pick, launched out of Dak Sing before they overran it, Camduck up there. Mm-hmm. As far as I know, Camduck was the farthest that we went for the most part, on the north-south line. I know one time we launched out of Camduck up there, and this was late 67, I guess. And what the deal was is I was looking for a radio relay site, and it was, I don't know, about as high as you could get probably up there on that same damn ridge line that goes, like I said, all the way from, it must run all the way from down in 3 Corps where it's flat, all the way up to China, I guess, because hell, it seemed to run everywhere. Anyways, somewhere on one of them knobs up there was a radio relay site. Well, we launched out of Camden, and we were flying on, I think we went in on what did we go in on? We went in on, I think, on 34s, because 34s had more range than Hueys did. They could stay up more. Anyways, when it took us up there and dropped us off in a valley, and we got off and went over, got off the drop zone, or off the landing zone, and went up the hill a little way, spent the night, got up the next day, walked all day long to the top of that damn ridge up there. I mean, it was a climb all day long. Anyways, and we got up there, and next morning we're moving down. But meanwhile, back the afternoon before, I could hear people talking on the radio. And I swear that I heard a German or a Russian talking on the radio. I didn't understand it, but it was guttural, guttural language, not like Vietnamese or something like that, where it's, more ding dong, I guess. But the guttural. But the one word that I did recognize was da, except they don't say it da, they duh, Anyways.
Wow.
So anyways, I thought it was Russian myself. Could have been wrong. But anyways, next morning we eased on down, and we spent the night up there toward that point out there. I wanted to confirm the fact that was the radio relay site before I called it in air. And we got, I don't know, we got within probably, 500 yards or so. And they apparently had outpost out because they opened up on us before we got any farther. And so we turned and rolled it up, back up the hill. And as we're going back up the hill, everybody's going underneath this big log. Well, my 1-2 can't get under the log with that radio on his back. So he's going to go over the top. And he does. Gets shot in the ass. And he goes over. Okay. So, well, we set up a little perimeter there, and I'm working on him, getting him stabilized there. Meanwhile, calling air to get him out of there. The closest thing to us up there, I guess, was the Jolly Green that stays on station out there over the Gulf of Tonkin. There were crippled birds coming out of North Vietnam. And there is always a Jolly Green over the station out there, stationed out over the Gulf of Tonkin. Well, they turned him to come in, and I later found out that there's three on call. And what it is, you've got one that when he gets diverted somewhere or something comes up, there's one that takes off immediately. And so I guess they sleep right there in the chopper or whatever. Anyways, takes off. and there's one that's 30 minutes behind him. They just got them stacked up, on call. Anyways, so he comes over, and there's no place for him to land. We're in like a double, triple canopy. Anyways, so they send down the penetrator. Send it down through there, and penetrator comes down, and I fold the seats out and put him on there, and I'm clicking him in with a snap link onto it so he ain't going to fall off. If he does, he ain't going nowhere. Anyways, but just as I'm clicking him in, I don't know whether it was an engine failure, whether it was a B-40 or what, but that goddamn Jolly Green come right down through the woods. I got to unsnap him, grab him, and yank him back off to the side, because here it comes, right down through the trees. And it ends up crashing through the trees and laying on the side. Fuck. So now I got Cubby, and I got all kinds of goddamn air power stacked up. They're just waiting. I know for sure there was nothing left of that knob out there. I mean, if that's where that relay station was, which I'm pretty sure it was, there wasn't nothing left out there. And they're walking at, everything between me and that knob, which is, I don't know, half a mile away. Anyways, and now when I get ready to go in, I come up to the edge and I yell, American, I'm American. And I come out with my hands up. Of course, I got my gun right here, but I come out with my hands up, because that goddamn crew chief is a nervous man. I'm telling you, he ain't never been on the ground before. So, anyways, the crew chief is nervous as can be, and the PJ, the rescue man, goes in the water after. He's shook up too, but anyways, and the only one that's hurt on it is the pilot, and the damn thing rolled over on him. It broke his arm, and you can see bones sticking right up through his arm, So meanwhile, I've done, I always carried 6 morphine syrettes in this pocket right here on the shirt, so everybody knew where it was at. It was always right there. I think, not necessarily the same place, but every person always knew where the morphine was, where the ERK-10 radio was, the mirror, the panel, all the shit that I carried. And everybody else carried, maybe not the radio, but the panels and the mirrors. Oh, and the flares, little handheld flares that shoot like a 22. That was only good for, I don't know, maybe 300-400 feet. But anyways, boys carried them right there in that side pocket on the pants. Everything there except the morphine's here. Anyway, so I done used one on my man, because I determined that it wasn't hit in the stomach itself. Okay, they hit him in the ass, in the butt, but it wasn't. It was in and out. He, it was deep enough where he was in pain, but what I'm trying to say. It didn't affect his walking as far as being able to,
He was still ambulatory.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, but I gave him a shot of morphine anyways. Those little roll-up quarter grain. I don't know if you've ever seen one or not. They come about that big, and what it is. It's a roll-up, like a tube of toothpaste. But it's a quarter grain, the morphine, and it's enough to make you happy. But anyways, so now I've already given my man one. Then I give one to that pilot that's got that bone sticking out of his arm. I didn't try to set it or do anything else. I just took a sling and put it on crossed it like that and put a sling on it, and then give him a shot to make him happy. But anyways, and I didn't realize it at the time. The next day, after all of us got out, he was in the hospital there over in Da Nang, and he said, "That goddamn shot of morphine you give me, where you give it to me?" Because I didn't even try to be nice about it. I just jammed it in his leg. You know, I wasn't worried about whether anything about it. He said, "Is that goddamn shot you gave me hurt worse than that arm did?" He was teasing, I'm sure, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, he was happy then, so maybe that arm had been set and everything. Of course, it sort of ran his Jolly Green days, but anyways, hell, they could send him off to Japan, let him heal up and come on back if he wanted to. Anyways, but yeah, that all of a sudden, then I've got not one man that they're taking out. I've got 5. My man and that 4-man crew on that damn Jolly Green. So here comes another Jolly Green coming around. Well, we got enough air cover then stacked up to where there's not a peep out of Charlie. I mean, I think they're just running for their life, getting away any way they can. But anyway, here comes another Jolly Green round. I guess what they did is they diverted the one that was going out to the Gulf over here, and then had another one lift off from down Da Nang there, because they were stationed in Da Nang. And anyway, that one comes over, drops his penetrator, and I put my man and the pilot and the co-pilot on that 3, and put 3 people on it, and sent it up, and they sent it back down again, and I put the PJ and the crew chief on it the second time, and lifted them up, and away they go. They're off to the hospital. And anyways, I went over to the chopper. I got that 60 off of it. I got me 4-inch barrel 38s, all their handguns. That's 60, you got 430. What you're doing, see, is you're collecting trading material. So anything you can yank out of there. I'm moving through the woods for, hell, I don't know, probably an hour or so. I'm working my way to get ready to go back down into the valley so they can come actually someplace where they could land to pick my bunch up. About an hour's worth, I get a radio call. You got to go back to the chopper. The fuck you mean I got to go back to the chopper? Charlie's crawling all over that son of a bitch by now. Oh, you got to go. The pilot left his briefcase, and the briefcase has got every map, every escape route, who you can talk to between here and Thailand that might help you out. You know, the whole 9 yards. And it's all in that briefcase that he's got that he left on the damn thing. Well, I didn't think about it at the time, and I'm sure he didn't either, with that sitting there with that damned arm with the bone sticking out. Anyways, so I went back over there and got that briefcase. I done cleaned everything out of there that I wanted. So as we walked away this time, I flipped the damn Willie feeder in to just make sure that we can read the comeback, you know. But I got there briefly, and nobody told me at the time. I didn't open to even look. I just, they done said that there was important papers in there. There was also $4,000 worth of gold.
Oh,
Nobody told me
whoa.
that. They had to buy their way out.
Wow.
Huh?
Holy
Nobody told me that. The $4,000 worth of gold then would be about the same as, I don't know, 25 or 30,000 now.
Oh yeah, easily.
Remember back then gold was $35 an ounce. That was it. $35 an ounce.
Now I
I
know why
bought
the
a
guys.
$10 chain in Thailand.
Yeah,
It had a
exactly.
boot on the end of it, and the whole damn thing. I paid about $300 for it, and it was about 10 ounces of gold, 22 karat.
Wow.
Anyways, it was so close to pure gold that I could twist the hooks that held the boot on and take it off. But anyways, uh, I had that anyways. But like I said today, that $4,000, and of course gold right now is 2,500 an ounce. It was $35 an ounce then, and $4,000 worth. Hell, that'd probably be $40,000 today. Anyways,
Jeez.
no, I didn't feel the gold like a dumbass. I should have. Anyways,
Being the good guy that you
anything
are.
that's in the woods is fair game.
Jeez.
So anyways, being the good little soldier I am, I took it back and turned it in. Like a damn fool. But anyways, that was interesting. That was, like I said, my 1-2 got shot. The chopper came down, and all of a sudden I had 5 goddamn people to take care of instead of 1.
What year was this Jolly Green mission? Or this incident right
That would
here?
have been I think it was late '67, early '68. I can't tell you exactly. All I
We've got,
know is that target. Oh, I finally later on I figured out where that radio relay site was. It was at the end of Ashall Valley. That's where it was, over on the Laotian side.
oh,
It was at the
wow,
end of Ashall.
dang.
And
We've,
as you've heard enough about Ashall to know that was a hot area from '64 on.
the Valley of Death.
Yep, that's it.
Holy,
Anyways, but this radio relay site was on the highest point at the west end of the valley out there. Yes. Where I finally figured out where it was after running it. And that's the reason that people couldn't stay on station, because they used so damn much fuel coming out of Cam Duck. If they didn't have a lot of airtime left. Anyway, but if I am 99% positive that that's where that radio relay was, out there on that knob, and there wasn't nothing left of that. I mean, we pounded the hell out of it. We had the fast movers come in and drop what they had, and then we had A1Es out there circling like buzzards, waiting on their turn, because they could stay on station for 3 hours at a time.
oh yeah, those things are amazing. I mean,
Then
flying dump
A1
trucks.
up there circling like a damn vulture, and and he can stay. Christ, seems like forever. That
Oh yeah,
fast mover gets about 2, at the most 3 runs, and he's got to go. He's out of fuel.
depending on where he comes from, because if he's coming from even further, it's
Yeah,
one good pass and he's gone.
yeah. If he's out of Thailand, then he ain't got no time at all. He gets about one pass, maybe two, depending on where he's from. If he's from down at hell, it won't come to me. But anyways, if he's from the northernmost one up there, the one that's up close to where Dave car works in all the time.
NKP Thailand, or
yeah, if they're out of NKP, they usually get 2 or 3 passes. But if they're out of farther down, Udon, yeah,
Udorn,
they're down that way. Udorn and Ubon was the 2 main bases, and Ubon was the one that was up close to Dave.
Yes, and, sir. He's doing all his secret squirrel work over there.
Anyways,
yeah, I was.
I don't know. Later on, I made a. I don't know what they called them over there. I don't know if they called them snake bite, but I made a trip over to Dave's place in '72.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, '72.
With the 40s.
They didn't call them snake bite, but whatever they were called, 6-month trip over to Dave's place over there.
TDY kind of situation.
Yeah, it was 60-month TDY. Yeah.
Wow, that's always interesting stuff to get into as well. The Thailand stuff. I was gonna see we're right now coming up on the 2 hour and 10-minute mark. I was gonna see. Yes, sir. I was gonna see since we've covered a great deal of stuff, and I'm about to have to start getting ready to go to my jiu-jitsu class here in a little bit. Do you think maybe we can plan to do a part 2 and let you finish up and then hit questions to end up a part 2?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
Now that I'm on a roll.
I'm sorry we were flowing right there, but that'll just give us extra stuff to talk about when we finish up there at the end when we get it scheduled. If you hang on while we end up, we can see about our schedules and go ahead and get it on the book and all that. Guys, I've saved all the questions. So y'all don't worry. Do look up some new questions and start thinking of some for part 2, because we'll definitely be getting part 2 in for the Q&A. But we're going to close it out for today. I got some stuff to take care of, and 2 hours is where I find is about where y'all start hitting the paying attention mark and start fading in and out. So we're going to shut it down today, and we'll come back with a part 2 and have a big Q&A. So thank y'all, and we'll see y'all sometime probably next.
Sorry, I ran my mouth so long.
No, that's why you're here. We just get that 2 hour limit, and we'll be ready for part 2 to listen to you again and get some questions in. So I'll shut her down, and we'll talk here in just a second and get it right.
Okay.